What's up, guys? SAG here, and welcome to Week 6 of NFL Spread Talk. Last week was a rough week. There was a lot of stuff that happened. Skylar Thompson had to come in the game. Tennessee did pull out the win. There was a backdoor from the Falcons. A lot of tough stuff going to last week, and it's been a really rough start for us. And hopefully this week we can get back on track, but I know this is the week. Hopefully this is the week. I know it's coming. College football we got on the right track, and I know at the NFL we're going to do the exact same. So let's get the show on our way. First, we're going to get right to it. Business. We have the Commanders taking on the Bears on Thursday Night Football. The Bears are a pick'em. Now the Washington Commanders have lost 6 of the last 9 road games. Carson Wentz, he has 10 TDs, 6 interceptions. Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel have been their top receivers, and J.D. McClisnick has been pretty good too. Defensively, they're allowing 25.6 points per game, with Cole Holcomb leading the way. And Jamin Davis has 3 sacks, and Derek Forrest has an interception. Now, the Bears, they've won their last 3 home games. Justin Fields, he's completed 55.7% of his passes for 3 TDs and 4 picks. They have St. Brown and Darren Mooney leading the pass game with Cole Kmet. Now, the running game is really good. They have averaged 157 yards per contest, with Khalil Herbert leading the way, rushing the ball. Defensively, they've only given up 21.2 points per game, with Roquan Smith leading the way with 54 tackles. Now, the Commanders in their last game lost to the Tennessee Titans. Thanks, Titans. 21-17. They've been having a tough stretch lately. And for the Chicago Bears, they lost to the Minnesota Vikings 29-22. The game was a push, with Cam Dantzler forcing a fumble last minute. Credit to the Bears for holding on and just coming back in that game. They've showed a lot of spirit. Now, the Commanders are 1-3-1 against the spread in their last 5 and 0-4 against the spread in their last 4. The Bears are 2-5-1 against the spread in their last 8 home games. Now, in this one, guys, it's tough. But I'm going to take an average pick on this one. I'm taking the Chicago Bears in a pick 'em. Not much science to this. I just think the Bears at home just are a different team. They're a lot better at home. They have a lot of fight. They have a decent defense, and they got Justin Fields at quarterback. And people say Justin Fields is trash. They're wrong. And they're playing against Carson Wentz. So all those factors in, I'll take the Bears in a pick 'em as an average pick. Next up, we have the Ravens, -5 against the Giants. Now, Baltimore, they opened the year with a win against the Jets, then they lost to the Dolphins. And then they had their win over the Patriots and lost to the Bills. Then Sunday, they did not get the cover. It was really frustrating, but they won 19-17. Lamar Jackson finished with 174 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. And he also had 12 carries for 58 yards. Now, with the Giants, they've started the year with consecutive wins. They beat the Titans and the Panthers before they lost to the Cowboys, but then managed to beat the Bears. Now, against the Packers, they were down 20-10.5, but then they outscored Green Bay 17-2 for the rest of the game to win 27-22. Daniel Jones, he's been doing just enough. He had 217 yards, while Saquon Barkley had 13 rushes for 70 yards in the score. Now, the Ravens, they're 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 after an ATS loss. And for the Giants, they're 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 overall. In this game, guys, I like the Ravens to win in the cover here, -5. They had a tough one against the Bengals. And the Giants, they're riding high, coming from London. It's tough travel. And also, they're coming off a high. They're due for a setback here. They are a good team. But I think the Ravens really show the Giants how it's done, just like they did to the Jets in the Meadowlands. So I'm taking an average pick here because I don't like the 5. Feels at 4-3. I'd move it to a money pick. I'm taking the Ravens -5 to win in a cover here. Next up, we have the Bengals, who are -1.5, going to take on the New Orleans Saints. Now, this was at a pick 'em earlier, and this number shot down to -1.5. A lot of money coming on the Bengals. Now, the Bengals, they've won 6 of the last 10 road games. Joe Burrow has 9 TDs, 5 picks. He's been playing a lot better lately. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are combined for 658 receiving yards, and they average about 90 yards per contest running the ball, with Joe Mixon leading the way. Now, defensively, they've been really good. They've only allowed 17.5 in points per game and 327 yards per game. Logan Wilson leads the Bengals with 33 tackles, while Trey Hendrickson has 2.5 sacks and Von Bell has 3 picks. Now the Saints, Cincy, they just lost to Baltimore 19-17. Now with the Saints, they lost 5 of their last 7 home games, and they lost their last game against who is it? Sorry, no, they won their last game. Getting confused. Against Seattle, Jameis Winston had completed 63.5% of his passes for 4 TDs and 5 picks. We'll see if he plays this game. Chris Olave and Michael Thomas combined for 560 receiving yards, and Jarvis Landry is pretty good. Now, they average about 112 rushing yards per game, with Taysom Hill leading the way. Alvin Kamara has been out a few games. Now, their defense has allowed 22.7 points per game and 323 yards per game, with Pete Werner leading the way with 47 tackles. Now, the Bengals are 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 road games, and the Saints are 38-14 in their last 52 in October. Now, in the last 5 meetings between the teams, the Bengals are 4-1 against the spread. In this game, guys, I really like the Bengals to win and cover here. I think the Bengals are just clearly the better team. Joe Burrow and his team will be ready for this. Now, playing at the Superdome is hard, but I think that the Bengals' talent really will prevail. They have a really good defense that has allowed around 17 points per game. And what are the Saints really going to do on offense with maybe even Jameis Winston at quarterback? This will be a low scoring game. 2 good defenses, but I think Joe Burrow and his team prevails here. Because the public's on it, I have to make an average pick. I think this could be where the public is just completely off. Next up is the Jaguars and the Colts. The Colts, my apologies, are -2. Now the Jaguars, they lost to the Commanders, then they won 2 straight wins against the Colts and the Chargers, big wins. Then they lost to the Eagles. Then this Sunday against the Texans, they were tied 6-6 at half, and they couldn't even score in the second half. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, he had 2 interceptions with 286 yards, and Travis Etienne had 71 yards on 10 carries. Now with the Colts, they began the year with the 20-20 tie, then lost to the Jags, and then beat the Chiefs. Hold up, guys. There's right knee reveals this time. Sorry, there's just some news just came out on Marvin Bagley. I'll take a closer look to that, but it looks like he's okay. Now the Colts, they also lost to the Titans 24-17. Then they took on the Broncos last week in what was quite the battle, where the teams combined for 7 field goals in what was one of the most ugly games I had ever seen. Now, the Jaguars 8-20 against the spread in their last 28 October games and 3-10 in their last 13 overall. Now, the Colts are 5-2 in their last 7 in October and 2-5 in their last 7 overall. In this game, guys, I like the Jaguars to respond. They came off a tough week, but the Colts can't score for nothing. The Jags have a really solid defense, and I expect Trevor Lawrence to put up a few points in this one. You can't put him down for too long. We must not overreact from last week. I think the Jaguars are a really solid team, and you get them at +2 against a team that can't score for nothing. Matt Ryan looked horrible last game. They do have a pretty solid defense, so you probably expect this to be a low-scoring game. But I expect Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne to get this done. This probably does stay close, but taking the Jaguars at +2 really is the correct play here. So I'm going to make an average pick. I'm taking the Jaguars +2. Next up, we have the Vikings -3 against the Dolphins. Now, Tua Tagovailoa is officially out. We should have all seen that coming. Now, the Vikings, they're trying to add on the 3-game winning streak. Now, these aren't really against that good teams, but their last one was against Chicago. And Dalvin Cook, he's led the Vikings in rushing with 373 rushing yards this year. Justin Jefferson's had a solid year. On defense, Jordan Hicks and Zadarius Smith have led the way. Been very solid for the Vikings. Now, Dolphins, they've had back-to-back losses, including last one to the Jets as they're 3-2. Tua is out. Likely we see Bridgewater play. Raheem Mostert has 260 rushing yards, and Tyreek Hill's leading the team. Now, he may not play this one, but Let me see. Sorry, Jalen Waddle. He has 24 catches for 404 receiving yards. Now on the defensive end, Brendan Jones has 36 tackles, while Melvin Ingram and Brendan Jones have a pair of sacks together. Now the Vikings are 0-4 in their last 4 games overall, and 0-4 in the last games following a win. A lot of these games lately, they've are in the Philly one. They've been favored by a big number, but they haven't been able to cover the number. Now the Bears, you could say that was a push. At least I had at 7, so it would be considered a push. Now the Dolphins are 0-5-1 against the spread in their last 6 games in October. So they haven't really been able to cover in October as well. They're pretty good in September. Now this is in Miami. We must take that into factor, but I don't even care. I think the Vikings are really the right pick here. They haven't covered lately because it's been high numbers. This one's a bit lower at 3. And I think with Bridgewater playing now instead of Tua, this Miami team isn't going to look that good. We don't even know if Tyreek Hill is going to play. And this Viking team has been pretty solid. They're on the road now, so they're not going to underestimate Miami here. They know what's up. And they have something to prove this year after not making the playoffs. Kevin O'Connell has that offense going, and they have at least a decent defense to keep this a game. Usually what's been the worry is they pull ahead, and then they let teams come back on them. But in this game, it's a low number, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm taking the Vikings -3, and I'm making a money pick. Next up, we have the Browns, who are 3-point favorites here. Sorry for the sore throat, guys. Taking on the Patriots. Now the Patriots are looking to bounce. They look to bounce back, and they definitely did, winning 29-0 against Detroit. Bradley's Zappi has been playing not too bad. He has 2 TDs and a pick. They got Damian Harris with Ramondre Stevenson, who will both combine for 629 yards and 4 TDs, while Jacoby Myers leads the team in receiving yards. Now, on the defensive end, Jawan Bentley has 31 tackles, while Matthew Judon has 6 sacks to start the year, and Dietrich Wise Jr. has 4 sacks themselves. Now, the Browns, they'll be looking to bounce back after going back to 500. They have back-to-back losses, and this one was against the Chargers, 30-28. Last one was against the Falcons. Played through a lot of close games. Jacoby Brissett, he has 1,060 yards, 5 TDs, and 3 picks, while Nick Chubb has 593 rushing yards with 7 TDs. Now, Amari Cooper, he's had a solid year with 304 yards on 27 catches, while David Njoku and Donovan Peoples-Jones have had great years too. Now, Grant Delpit, he has 30 tackles, while Myles Garrett has 3 sacks, but we may not know if Myles Garrett will play this game. Now, Cleveland is 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 overall, and 1-4 against the spread against the team with the losing record. The Patriots are 1-4-1 against the spread in their last 6 road games, and 29-10 against the spread against the team with the losing record. Now, in this game, guys, I learned a lesson there last game. I took the Lions as a money pick, but I realized, the Patriots are really a different breed at home, aren't they? They play really solid, but in this game, they're on the road against the Cleveland team that just lost. Cleveland's going to look to respond here, and I think they do. I'm taking Cleveland -3. This is going to be a really close game, but I think Jacoby Brissett and Nick Chubb pull this one out. The Patriots, I'm still not sold on Bradley Zappi. I think the Lions really self-destructed. I think a big part of it was they didn't have a kicker, so they had to go for it on 4th down. And, I just really don't like the Lions in this instance. The Lions. I really don't like the Patriots in this instance. They're played 2 good games. This is a setback game on the road. I'm taking Cleveland -3 as an average pick. Next up, we have the Jets taking on the Packers in Green Bay. Green Bay is -7. Now, the New York Jets have lost 6 of the last 9 road games. Zach Wilson is completing 56.1% of his passes for 1 touchdown and 2 picks. Corey Davis and Garrett Wilson have had solid years. Well, the Jets' run game is averaging 97 yards per contest, with Hall leading the way with 275 yards and 2 TDs. Now, defensively, the Jets are allowing 23.6 points per game. C.J. Mosley leading the way with 51 tackles. Quinnen Williams has 3 sacks, and LaMarcus Joyner has 2 picks. Now, the Green Bay Packers haven't lost a home game since November 2020. Aaron Rodgers is completing 67.9% of his passes for 8 TDs and 3 picks, while Randall Cobb and Romeo Doubs have 462 receiving yards combined. Now, Green Bay's running game is averaging 134 yards per contest. Now, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon are a great combination running the ball. Now, defensively, they've allowed 19.2 points per game and 303.4 yards per game, with Devondre Campbell leading the way with 41 tackles. Rashawn Gary, he has 5 sacks, and Jair Alexander has 1 pick. Now, the Jets are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 on the road, and the Packers are 9-3 against the spread in their last 12 in October. Now, in this game, guys, I really like the Packers to win in a cover here in a bounce-back game. This reminds me of Week 1 when they lost to the Vikings, but the next week they played a weak team at home in Chicago, and they came out and dominated. And now you get a touchdown with the Packers here. The Packers just came off a loss to the Giants, and they're going to be looking to respond against the Jets team that just isn't that good, guys. Let's call a spade. This Jets team is not that good. Now, they do have Zach Wilson at quarterback instead of Joe Flacco, but I think the Packers are going to be out for blood here. This is a response game, and they're going to do it. The Jets are coming high off a win against Miami, and now they're going to get a reality check in Green Bay. Green Bay is a different breed at home, and I really like them to win in a cover here. I'm making this a money pick. Packers, -7. Next up, we have the 49ers, who are 5.5-point favorites against the Falcons. The 49ers, they lost to the Bears and then won to the Seahawks, and then lost to the Broncos and won to the Rams. Now, on Sunday, they didn't have a ton of trouble against the Panthers. They scored in every quarter, and in what was a blowout, went 37-15. Jimmy Garoppolo had 253 yards and 2 TDs, while Jeffrey Wilson had 17 carries for 120 yards in the score. Now, the Falcons, these guys are cover machines. They somehow backdoored against the Tampa last week when we had them at -8. Unbelievable. They're 5-0 against the spread. That's quite incredible to start the season. They've been cover machines. Marcus Mariota had 147 yards in the TD, and he led the rushing with 61 yards. Now, San Francisco's 4-0 against the spread in their last 6 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 after a win, and 8-1 against the spread in their last 9 against the NFC. While the Falcons are 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 overall, and 5-0 against the spread following an ATS win. In this game, guys, I really like the 49ers to win in a cover here. I think, the Falcons, they've had their little streak, 5-0 to start the season, but that's doomed to end. And I said that last week, but this week we get a more favorable number, and we get a team that will be way more motivated and has a really good defense. Now, I can only make this an average pick because I don't fully trust the 49ers like that, and it is 5.5. But now, if the score was the exact same, the 49ers would cover. And I think, the Falcons' fortune is due to end at some point. Vegas' goal is always to even the spread, and their losses are coming soon. Their reality check is coming soon. It should have came against Tampa Bay. Tampa was up almost 21-0 on these guys, and then just let them come back. And it felt like all Arthur Smith was concerned about was covering the spread. But in this game, I think, you get a lower number now, and now the 49ers, they're coming off a nice solid win, going on the road. The Falcons aren't that good at home. It's not much of a home field advantage, guys. I like the 49ers -5.5, and I'm making an average pick. Next up, we have the Buccaneers, who are 8-point favorites against the Steelers, going on the road. The Bucs are 3-2 with a win against Atlanta last time out. Tom Brady has thrown only 1 interception this year. He has 1,409 yards and 7 TDs. Well, Leonard Fournette is leading the run game. Mike Evans has been really solid for him, 316 receiving yards and 3 TDs. On the defensive end, Devin White leads the team in tackles with 40 and has 3 sacks, while Jamal Dean has a pair of interceptions. Now, the Steelers will look to break a 4-game losing streak after a loss to Buffalo last time out, falling to 1-4 on the year. Kenny Pickett, he's not been great. He had a lot of throwing. He threw a lot of throws. He had a lot of passing attempts. He had a lot of passing yards, but he didn't have any touchdowns and threw an interception. While Najee Harris has led the team in rushing yards with 222, and Deontay Johnson has 28 grabs for 267 receiving yards. On the defense, Miles Jack leads the team in tackles, while Alex Highsmith is through 5.5 sacks, and Mika Fitzpatrick has 3 interceptions. Now, Tampa Bay is 11-4 against the spread following an ATS loss, and Pittsburgh is 3-1-1 in their last 5 at home against the spread, and 0-3-1 in their last 4 games against the spread. Guys, in this one, I don't know which side to take. I don't trust the Bucks after what happened last week. Sometimes they let their foot off the gas, and sometimes Pittsburgh can show up at home and make a game close. They really play up to competition a lot of the times. I think Kenny Pickett can do it here. He did play decent against Buffalo, just couldn't get points on the board. I like I mean, I don't know which side to choose. I'm taking a void pick. I like the Steelers plus the 8. I think the number is really high. Next up, we have the Cardinals, who are 3-point favorites, going to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Now, the Cardinals, they had a loss against the Chiefs to start the season, but then they won against the Raiders. And then lost to the Rams, took out the Panthers, and then lost against the Eagles. They're 2-3. Now, on the Seahawks side, they had a win against Denver. Then they lost their next two against the 49ers and the Falcons before beating the Lions. And then before beating the Lions 48-45, and then losing to the Saints 39-32. Now the Cardinals are 5-0-1 in their last 6 in the week 6, and 6-5-1 in their last 22 in October. Seattle is 4-1 in their last 5 games in October against the spread. This one, guys, I like the Cardinals to win in the cover here. I think they respond. I think really the talent prevails in this one. Again, 3 I think is kind of a low number. I think Seattle's just not that good as a team. I get they got Geno Smith. Everyone's hyping up Geno Smith. Well, I'm not hyping up Geno Smith. I'll tell you that. He played against a horrible Lions defense that Bradley Zappi put 29 points up against. So if you want to count Geno Smith as a good quarterback, go by me, because I'm not. I get Seattle's at home here, but I think Kyler Murray has a pretty solid game, and they need this win to get back to 3-3, guys. The Cardinals are at least a decent team. I'm taking the Cardinals in the average pick here. I'm taking them at -3. Next up, we have the Panthers taking on the Rams, and guess who's at quarterback here? No Baker Mayfield, and they got a new coach. That means P.J. Walker is at quarterback, if you remember him from the XFL. Robbie Anderson and DJ Moore at the receiving yard. They had Christian McCaffrey. Now, defensively, they are allowing 24.4 points a game, with Shaq Thompson leading the way with 34 tackles, Brian Burns with 4 sacks, and Derek Brown with an interception. Now, for the Rams, they've split their last 8 home games, with Matthew Stafford throwing 7 interceptions this year. That's a lot. Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee leading the way, and their ground game is averaging 62 yards a contest. Now, defensively, they're allowing 23.2 points per game and 321 yards per game, with Bobby Wagner leading the way in tackles, and Aaron Donald has 4 sacks on the year. Now, the Panthers are 0-5 in their last 5 against the spread on the road. The Rams are 0-4 in their last 4 against the spread, and 1-6 against the spread in their last 7 overall. Now, in this one, the Rams are favored by 11, and this is another one where I think the number is just too high. I can't take the Rams by double digits here. I think P.J. Walker is a half-decent quarterback. You had a regime change now, so the Panthers are going to be motivated to prove themselves here. Guys, I really like the Panthers here. Now, I couldn't bring myself to make it a money pick because the Panthers are coming off a regime change, and they're just not that good. I have to call a spade a spade. But this number is so much, I have to take the Panthers plus 11 here as an average pick. Guys, they're going to respond here. Baker Mayfield is not at the helm anymore, so it can't get much worse than that. Baker Mayfield is not a good quarterback. P.J. Walker, he's half decent. He'll show some stuff. So, guys, I like the Panthers plus the 11. Next up, we have, game of the week, guys. I'm really excited for this one, and I'm excited that I don't work then because I'll be able to watch this. It's the Bills, who are -2.5 going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, let's remember in matchups like these, every point matters because it could be a 1 or 2 point game. Now, the Bills, they're 4-1 on the year. Josh Allen has 14 TDs and 4 interceptions, while Stephon Diggs has 508 yards receiving. These guys can ball. Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs, man, they're so good with Josh Allen there. And I mean, Josh Allen also leads the Bills in running. He's just been that good. Now, on defense, they got Von Miller, they got Greg Ronasu, they got Matt Milano with 29 total tackles. Now, the Chiefs, they're 4-1 as well. They had a narrow win against the Vegas Raiders, who we got some money off of. Patrick Mahomes nearly has 1,400 passing yards, 15 TDs and 2 picks. Clyde Hilaire leading the rushing group, and Travis Kelce have a day. 4 touchdowns last time out with Juju Smith-Schuster and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Now, the defensive end, Nick Bolton leads the team in tackles, with L'Jarius Sneed leading the team in sacks, not snacks, sacks. Now, the Bills, they're 7-2-2 in their last 11 overall and 2-5-1 in their last 8 games against a team with a winning record. Now, Kansas City is 6-2 in their last 8 home games and 7-3 against spread against a team with a winning record. In this game, guys, I like the Bills minus 2.5. This is a revenge game. The Bills had this game marked on their calendar like, oh, we're kicking their ass this game. Without Tyreek Hill, the Chiefs are a different team. They're not going to have that threat over the top. Now, hopefully the Bills have their secondary pieces, but I don't care because Josh Allen's going to have a day. Just like Patrick Mahomes had a day with Tom Brady. I mean, man, Josh Allen's going to go off on them. Guys, Bills, I don't care that this thing's in Kansas City. This is going to be a great game, back and forth, but Josh Allen's going to win this game because he's got the weapons with Gabe Davis, Stephon Diggs. He's got the running game. Man, he's got Dawson Knox. This guy can play. Man, the Bills, they're going to be so hyped and ready for this game because this is more than just a regular season game name. This is a revenge spot. All right, guys, I'm taking the Bills minus 2.5. Make it a money pick. Man, this is the money pick of the week to me. Try to get it as low as a number as you can because every point matters here. It's nice that it's under 3, but every point matters. Next up, we have the Cowboys heading to Philly to take on the Eagles, who are minus 5. I believe this is the Sunday Night Football matchup. Now, the Cowboys, they've won 6 straight road games. Cooper Rush is, to some people, the real deal. I don't know to me, but yeah, he's been, credits to him, he's been playing really well. CeeDee Lamb and Noah Brown lead the team in receiving yards. And credits to Ezekiel Elliott in this running game because they're averaging 115 yards per contest. And defensively, they're only allowing 14.4 points a game. This Dallas defense is the real deal with Micah Parsons with 6 sacks. Trayvon Diggs has 2 picks. And Donovan Wilson leads the team in tackles. Now, the Eagles, they won 5 of their last 6 home games. Jalen Hurts has completed 67.9% of his passes for 1,359 receiving yards, 4 TDs, and 2 interceptions. They got A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert at the tight end. Their ground game is averaging 160 yards per contest, with Miles Sanders leading the way with 414 yards and 3 TDs. Defensively, they're rock solid. They're only allowing 17.6 points per game and 294 yards per game, with T.J. Edwards leading the way with 41 tackles, Hassan Reddick with 4.5 sacks, and James Bradbury with 2 picks. Now, the Cowboys, they're 10-1 against the spread in their last 11 road games, and 20-7 against the spread in their last 27 overall. The Eagles, they're 4-1-1 against the spread in their last 6 home games, and 2-5 against the NFC. This one, guys, I think it's time for a reality check. Dallas has to go to Philly now and play against that tough crowd, against what is one of the best teams in the league, guys. Last week, they overhyped the Rams. The Rams aren't good, but the Eagles are they could be the best team in the league. They got Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert, a solid offensive line, and a great defense with Hassan Reddick, Bradbury, Darius Slay. Man, this team can play. They got Fletcher Cox. I'm even rhyming here, guys. I really like Philadelphia minus the 5. I think they beat Dallas badly by a touchdown or more in this game because it's sometimes, it's time for a reality check. And this offense is good enough against this Dallas defense. They're going to get the running game going. They're going to get A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith going. And Jalen Hurts has been really solid this year. So, guys, average pick, I'm taking Philadelphia minus 5. Next up, we have the Broncos heading to SoFi Stadium to take on the Chargers, who are minus 5.5. Now, Denver, they began their season with a tough loss, and then they won against the Texans and the 49ers, then losing to the Raiders again week 4. And then they fell below 500 again with a loss against the Colts Thursday. Russell Wilson looked horrible. Cortland Sutton was decent. And the Chargers, on their side, they had a 24-19 win against the Raiders, and then they lost their next 2 games against the Chiefs and the Jaguars, but then they beat the Texans and then the Browns right after on a comeback 30-28 win. Justin Herbert's been pretty solid this year. He's starting to look more like himself after that injury. Now, the Broncos are 8-3 against the spread in their last 11 on turf and 1-4 against the spread overall, while the Chargers are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 overall and 8-2-1 in their last 11 in October. In this one, guys, I got to take the Chargers here. I just think the Broncos are not going to score points at all. And how can you really take the Broncos with how they've been playing? Russell Wilson has looked horrible. This offense can't get anything going. And they're going up against a good Justin Herbert led team that has a really solid offense and a pretty good defense with Khalil Mack, who's going to get a lot of pressure. Him and Joey Bosa are really good. They got Asante Samuel. Guys, I got to take the Chargers here at minus 5.5, and I'm making it a money pick because I know the Broncos are horrible. So, yeah, the Chargers minus 5.5, making a money pick on Monday Night Football. Okay, guys, I'm just going to go over the picks here for our recap. In our avoid pick, the only one we have is the Steelers plus the 8. On our average picks, we have the Bears pick 'em. We got the Panthers plus 11, the Eagles minus 5, the Jaguars plus 2, the Cardinals minus 3, the Browns minus 3, the Ravens minus 5, the Bengals minus 1.5, and the 49ers minus 5.5. In our money picks, we got the Packers minus 7, the Bills minus 2, the Chargers minus 5.5, and the Vikings minus 3. If you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. This is SAG here, sorry guys, and I hope you all have a fantastic day. Let's get some cash. Let's respond.